Hello and welcome to Vision Vibes. Today we're breaking down the details of the Russia-Ukraine war update, the goals we aim to achieve, and the subsequent implications on the global stage. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and give this video thumbs up if you're ready to explore this multifaceted journey with us. The Russia-Ukraine war has taken a turn for the unexpected. As the conflict escalates, we're witnessing an alarming increase in civilian casualties and a burgeoning refugee crisis. Russia's military intervention, once perceived as a daunting force, now faces unexpected challenges. Higher casualties than anticipated, biting economic sanctions, increasing isolation, and a significant failure in shaping the narrative have all come into play. These factors reveal significant flaws in Russia's planning and execution of this war. President Putin's decision to go to war is now seen as a major miscalculation. Before we delve into the origins of this war, let's dive into the latest updates and analysis on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. In recent weeks, Ukraine's resistance has been stronger than anticipated. Ukrainian forces, bolstered by international support and an influx of volunteers, have managed to hold off Russian advances in key strategic areas. On the Russian side, the military strategy appears to be faltering. Their anticipated quick victory seems to be a distant dream, as logistical issues and fierce Ukrainian resistance hamper their progress. The indiscriminate shelling of civilian areas has drawn international condemnation, further isolating Russia on the global stage. The impact of international sanctions on Russia's economy is becoming increasingly apparent. The ruble's value has plummeted, foreign investors are pulling out, and Russia's central bank has been cut off from the SWIFT messaging system, significantly impacting its ability to conduct international transactions. These updates shed light on the evolving dynamics of the conflict. They set the stage for understanding how we arrived at this point, which we will discuss in the next scene. As we delve deeper into the origins of this war, we'll see how past decisions have led to the current situation. But how did we get here? Let us take a step back. The story of the Russia-Ukraine war begins in the early months of 2014. The world watched in a mix of disbelief and concern as Russia annexed Crimea, a region that was, until then, a part of Ukraine. This audacious move was, to many, a clear violation of international law, and it marked a significant escalation in the tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Following this annexation, unrest began to brew in eastern Ukraine. Pro-Russian separatists in the regions of Donetsk and Luhansk declared independence, leading to a conflict that has since claimed thousands of lives. This unrest was fueled in part by Russia's support for the separatists, a move that was seen by many as a continuation of the aggressive tactics used in Crimea. As the situation continued to escalate, a series of ceasefires were brokered in an attempt to bring an end to the violence. But these ceasefires were short-lived, and the fighting would soon resume, each time more intense than before. This vicious cycle of conflict and temporary respite continued for several years. Then, in late 2023, reports began to surface of a significant buildup of Russian forces along the Ukraine border. These reports sparked fears of a full-scale Russian invasion, fears that were realized in early 2024, when Russia launched a military intervention in Ukraine. This intervention was met with swift condemnation from the international community. Countries around the world imposed harsh economic sanctions on Russia in an attempt to pressure it into withdrawing its forces. But these sanctions have, so far, failed to deter Russia from its course. So here we are, in the midst of a war that has escalated far beyond the borders of Ukraine, a war that is causing untold suffering for the Ukrainian people, and that is threatening to destabilize the entire region. This sets the stage for the current situation. Russia's military intervention in Ukraine has faced numerous unexpected hurdles. In the thick of this conflict, Russia has encountered a series of unexpected challenges. The first of these is a higher than anticipated number of casualties. The intensity of the conflict and the determined resistance by Ukrainian forces have resulted in a significant loss of life among Russian soldiers. This has not only raised concerns domestically, but also amplified the international outcry against the war. On the economic front, Russia is feeling the pinch of sanctions from the global community. These sanctions have targeted key sectors of the Russian economy, including energy, finance, and technology. The result? A stifling effect on Russia's economic growth, with impacts felt from the bustling streets of Moscow to the remotest Siberian villages. The war has also led to Russia's diplomatic isolation. Many nations have condemned Russia's actions, leading to strained diplomatic relations. Russia finds itself increasingly isolated on the world stage, with even traditional allies expressing concern or outright opposition to its actions in Ukraine. But perhaps one of the most unexpected challenges Russia faces is a failure in shaping the war's narrative. In the age of digital media and real-time reporting, controlling the narrative is a key aspect of any conflict. Russia, however, has struggled in this arena. The global community has largely rejected Russia's justifications for the war, and images of the conflict's devastating impacts have fueled widespread condemnation. The result of these challenges? A significant dent in Russia's war machinery. The high casualties, economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and narrative failure have all converged to create a daunting challenge for Russia. The war, which was perhaps initially seen as a strategic move, has quickly morphed into a quagmire of unexpected complications and setbacks. These challenges have revealed significant flaws in Russia's planning and execution of the war. With each passing day, these flaws become more apparent, painting a picture of a nation grappling with the consequences of a major miscalculation. As we move forward, one thing is clear: the outcome of this conflict is anything but certain. But the war's most devastating impact is on the civilians caught in the crossfire. The Russia-Ukraine war, like all conflicts, is not just a clash of armies but also a crisis for the innocent people who call these war-torn lands their home. The escalation of the conflict has led to a steep increase in civilian casualties. The streets that once resonated with the laughter of children and the hum of daily life now echo with the sounds of gunfire and explosions. Homes have been reduced to rubble, lives have been upended, and the future seems uncertain for those who have managed to survive. The war has also triggered a significant refugee crisis. Thousands of Ukrainians have been forced to leave behind everything they've ever known: their homes, their memories, their lives, just to escape the horrors of war. They seek refuge in neighboring countries, their tired eyes reflecting the pain of their ordeal. In response to this humanitarian crisis, the international community has stepped up to provide aid. Food, medical supplies, and temporary shelters are being arranged for those displaced by the war. Yet, the sheer scale of the crisis makes it a daunting task. Non-governmental organizations, local communities, and even individuals are doing their part to help. They are opening their hearts and homes to the refugees, providing them with warmth, comfort, and a sense of hope amidst the chaos. But despite these efforts, the suffering continues. The war has not only claimed lives but also shattered dreams and disrupted the normalcy that we often take for granted. Every day of conflict adds to the tally of human suffering, and the toll is not just in numbers, but in the pain of each individual affected. The war is a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the devastating consequences of conflict. It underscores the urgent need for diplomatic solutions and the protection of civilian lives in times of war. The human cost of war is always the highest. It's a price too steep to pay, a debt too heavy to bear. And as the Russia-Ukraine conflict continues, it's the civilians who are paying the highest price. The outcome of the conflict remains uncertain. This statement rings true as we venture into the future of the Russia-Ukraine war. Let's consider the possible scenarios. Russia, faced with unexpected challenges, may decide to double down on its military intervention. This could involve a more aggressive push into Ukraine, potentially escalating the conflict further. Alternatively, Russia could seek to negotiate a resolution to the conflict, perhaps under the pressure of economic sanctions and diplomatic isolation. However, such a move would need to be carefully managed to avoid appearing as a retreat or a capitulation, given the significant resources already committed to the war. Meanwhile, Ukraine's resistance has been fierce and unyielding, showing the world a country determined to protect its sovereignty at all costs. The Ukrainian people's spirit has been inspirational, their resilience in the face of adversity, a beacon of hope. Looking ahead, Ukraine will likely continue to resist Russian advances, bolstered by international support. Speaking of the international community, it has a crucial role to play in this conflict. The world watches in anticipation and concern as the situation unfolds. Will the economic sanctions and diplomatic pressures be enough to dissuade Russia from further aggression? Or will there be a need for more direct intervention to ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and the safety of its people? Moreover, the international community must prepare for the humanitarian crisis that this conflict has already started to trigger. The refugee situation is escalating and the number of civilian casualties is rising. Addressing these issues will require a concerted global effort, marked by compassion, resourcefulness, and a firm commitment to peace. The future of the conflict indeed is a complex web of potential scenarios, each with its own set of challenges and implications. But one thing is clear. The Russia-Ukraine war has already changed the geopolitical landscape in ways that will reverberate for years to come. The future remains uncertain, but the Russia-Ukraine war has already made its mark on history. To summarize the key points discussed, we've delved into the escalation of the conflict in Ukraine, a situation that has intensified alarmingly, leading to a surge in civilian casualties and a significant refugee crisis. The war, triggered by Russia's military intervention, has not been the smooth operation it perhaps anticipated. Contrary to expectations, Russia has faced numerous unexpected challenges. These include a higher toll of casualties than anticipated, the imposition of severe economic sanctions, a sense of diplomatic isolation on the global stage, and a failure in shaping the narrative to its advantage. The decision by President Putin to initiate this conflict is increasingly seen as a major miscalculation, with Russia struggling to achieve its objectives in Ukraine. We've also touched on the devastating impact this war is having on civilians. The human cost is immense, with people losing their lives, homes, and a sense of security. The refugee crisis is growing day by day, adding to the complexity and urgency of the situation. As we look to the future of this conflict, it's clear that the outcome remains uncertain. The initial 2 weeks have revealed significant flaws in Russia's planning and execution of the war, raising questions about the potential conclusion and long-term consequences of this conflict. The Russia-Ukraine war is a complex and evolving situation, a stark reminder of the catastrophic impact of military conflict on nations and their people. Following our summary of the key points, it's crucial to consider the international response to the Russia-Ukraine war. This conflict has not only affected the two nations, but has also sent shockwaves across the globe. World powers have been quick to respond, with widespread condemnation of Russia's actions. Economic sanctions have been imposed by numerous countries, notably the United States and European Union, aiming to cripple Russia's economy and pressure it into halting its military campaign. Further, an outpouring of support for Ukraine has been seen globally. Countries have been providing military, financial, and humanitarian aid to Ukraine, helping it resist Russia's offensive and support its beleaguered civilian population. Looking ahead, the ongoing conflict could potentially trigger a significant global crisis in 2024. If the war continues, the strain on resources, the displacement of people, and the destabilization of the region could lead to widespread humanitarian and security crises. Not to mention the potential for the conflict to escalate further, drawing in other nations and potentially leading to a larger-scale war. The Russia-Ukraine war has global implications, with the potential to reshape international relations. It's testing the resolve of international institutions and alliances, and their ability to maintain peace and security. The response to this crisis could redefine the global order, with nations being forced to choose sides and the balance of power potentially shifting. In conclusion, the Russia-Ukraine war is not just a regional conflict, but a global crisis that could shape the world order in 2024 and beyond. As we continue to monitor this situation, it's important to remember the human cost of this conflict and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution. As we draw towards the close of our in-depth exploration of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, let's take a moment to reflect on the gravity of the situation. This war isn't just a dispute between two nations, it's a global crisis with the potential to reshape the world as we know it. The human cost is staggering, and the need for a peaceful resolution has never been more urgent. We must remember that behind every statistic and analysis, there are real people living through these events, their lives irrevocably altered. As we continue to monitor and provide updates on this evolving situation, we hope to foster a deeper understanding of the global implications and the significance of international responses. If you found this video insightful, we urge you to share it with your friends and family. Spreading awareness is the first step towards meaningful change, and your actions can make a difference. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more comprehensive and timely updates on the Russia-Ukraine war and other critical global issues. Your support helps us continue our mission of providing accurate, in-depth analysis on matters that affect us all. And if you found this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up. Your engagement motivates us to keep producing content like this. In these testing times, let's stand together, stay informed, and strive for peace. Thank you for joining us on this journey of understanding and learning.